All right, we are going to do the first oil change on the X758. I believe the initial oil change should be done at 50 hours, and I think I'm at about 40 some. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now, and then we'll be good for next summer as well. So, a couple things you're going to need to do with this one. So this is the Yanmar engine, so it's not the gas Kawasaki like the X738 like I had. So a couple things to note on what would be your passenger side. Here is going to be your dipstick, and then you got two places you can add oil, either here or right up on the top of the engine, depending on, I guess, which is easier. Both of them you're going to need a funnel, the way it looks like, because you got this air intake here that's going to be in the way. And this one here, you got your, what is it, upper, lower radiator hose, the way it looks, is in the way. And the oil plug is actually on the side of the oil pan here. So, and that's going to be a 17 millimeter. So we're going to get this draining right away. So what I like to do is pull up the dipstick here just a little bit, and then one of these at least open. So I also just got done running this. I'll put a clip of that in here as well. So what I do is I run it to get everything warm, and that's what John Deere recommends as well. So that oil plug there is going to be a 17 millimeter. I'm going to use a socket with a short extension, and hopefully my 3/8 drive will have enough. If you try to get in there with a wrench, I do have the drive shaft on for the snowblower, so that's in the way. But if you didn't have the deck or the snowblower on, it probably would be smooth sailing getting that off. You wouldn't have anything in the way. And the approximate capacity is like 3.5 quarts. So make sure you got a pan that's big enough. And I also made up this piece of cardboard that I'm hoping we can stick underneath here, and that's going to keep the drive shaft from getting all full of oil, because there again I got the snowblower on because we had a little scare with snow and I was still set up for collecting leaves. So we quickly got that put on, so just in case we get a big snowfall, I'm ready to go here. But wanted to get the oil changed here before I got the blower on, but I just didn't have the time. So also have the oil filter on this side, so basically everything you need to service for the oil change is going to be on this side, which is nice. Alright, so I got it loose, and it's just starting to drip here a little bit. I saved you the swearing there, trying to get the thing loose. It definitely, if you're going to break it loose for the first time, it's probably going to be pretty tight. You might want to grab a 1/2 inch drive, because that 3/8, or a longer 3/8 I guess, it just did not have the oomph. And I don't know, hopefully this cardboard is going to be enough to stay in place here. I'm going to try to pull this out, and hopefully we don't end up with oily mess on floor or pants. There we go. Ooh. Oh, that's coming out fast. No oily mess though. Looks pretty good, I guess. Seems like it's working. So we're gonna let that drain, and then we'll come back, tackle the oil filter. That looks like kind of the same thing. You'll need something. There's no, like on the Kawasaki, there's like a little catch with a hose so that most of the oil would go down there, and you can kind of divert it. Here it looks like you got a motor mount, and that's just what it is what it is. You're gonna get oil on stuff. So alright, so for the oil filter here, I actually used a pair of channel lock 440s, just because I knew this was going to be tight. There was no chance of getting that by hand, and I don't have the proper like oil filter wrench for that size filter. It's pretty small, So I always find that a pair of these work pretty well, especially when you got the room to get in there. I just came in from the bottom side like this and just gave it a little bit of a turn. So, and then I also added another piece of cardboard here. Hopefully it'll catch whatever's going to go down this motor mount here. But I should have it loose enough by hand that we can get this. And we'll see. Oh, so it drains down the block. That's interesting. That's an interesting design. I would assume that this motor is probably just a Yamaha motor that they design and then John Deere fits it to their frame, so that's why this doesn't really make any sense the way it is. Usually when another manufacturer uses somebody else's motor, they just kind of squeeze it in however, and they leave it to the guy doing the maintenance to figure out how to circumvent that oil issue there. So looks like we'll have a little bit of cleanup on that. I don't see any way around that. Maybe we could sneak something. There again, it looks like John Deere maybe could have figured something out for us too, but they didn't. So we'll take a look at the filters too, because I'm willing to bet that this filter is not a John Deere filter but a Yamaha filter. To me it looks a little different. So we'll let that drain and we'll look at the filters and the oil I'm using. Alright, so I went to the dealer and this is what we're using. So the oil filter he gave me is this one here. So we'll open that up in a second and compare this one to the one we took off. And then the oil is just going to be the standard 15W40. If you are going to run your machine in winter months where it's probably colder, you'd want to run probably maybe the synthetic 0W40, or I think 5W40 is what they run. I'm just going to run the 1540 year round. This is in the lawnmower sits in a heated building, so I'm not too concerned about it being cold. Like right now I think it's 52 degrees in here, so that's fine, and once you get it running it'll be warm enough for doing any type of snow blowing and stuff like that. So let's pull that filter out and take a look at that. Alright, so there are our two filters here. Now this is the John Deere filter. You can see the design of it there. This one here, I would put money on, is, like I said, a Yanmar filter. That's probably what they set that engine up with. And yeah, it's probably a white filter that maybe got painted black. What I really wish is that you could get the Yanmar numbers off of this filter, because I would buy a Yanmar filter over a John Deere. So I don't know if you can see inside the filter or not, but this one has like metal with holes on the side, and the John Deere filter, which you really can't see, well, maybe you can see it's just pleats, and it looks like, yeah, it's plastic. So it has like a plastic webbing that goes against those pleats. So this is probably a much better filter than the John Deere filter here. So I'm going to see what I can do to find the actual Yanmar filter. And this Yanmar filter is bigger too. It's wider. It looks like it could be just a smidge. No, it looks like it's about the same height, but it is definitely wider. Like it's a much wider filter the way it looks. So probably has more filter media in it. So I don't know, I'll see if I can find that, and if I do I'll make another video of the Yanmar filter that fits this engine. Alright, so I have the oil filter back on. In the book it says to make contact with the oil filter ring or gasket and then go half a turn. The filter itself says 3/4 turn. What I don't like is when I was putting it on, it was barely threaded on and it was already making contact. So I kind of reefed it down, because I don't know, maybe that isn't the right filter, but boy, it just doesn't seem right. I don't know. And like I said, the dealer looked it up, so I'm assuming it's right. I don't have anything to go off of, and I don't believe there's any reference numbers in the book either. So I got that on. I'm also putting the oil in through the top. I got a funnel in there. It's still kind of a trick. You got this linkage here for the throttle that comes through, so you got to kind of be aware of that. It might be easier to get in here, but you still have to have a pretty narrow funnel, maybe with a longer riser or something to get in there. So the book says it takes 3.4 quarts of oil. I'm gonna put in probably right around 3.5, and that should be good, and we'll check it there. So, and then the oil plug, I looked for a torque spec too in the book. There isn't any. It just says closed drain plug. Like, how generic is that? Usually they give you a torque spec. So I don't know, we'll have to see. But I'm gonna, like I said, look up for a different filter for this, because I really don't like that John Deere filter. I'd rather run a Yanmar filter on this thing if possible. So I'll see if I can find, maybe there's some you know, there's a mark here on the block, but maybe there's something else we can find that we can look it up and see what it is. Alright, got it all closed up, buttoned it up there. I did find there's some information on this tag here, and this tag here about engine family and model number. So I'm gonna run that through the old internet and see what we can come up with. Maybe we can find something. So let's start this thing up and we'll check for leaks. Let's see, I think I gotta be on it. Set it right here. So on the screen there should be an oil light towards the top. So I'm guessing it's this red one here. So we'll start it up and hopefully that goes off or doesn't come on. It is a noisy little engine. Alright, so we'll let it sit for a little bit. We'll check the oil and see how close we are. Alright, let's check the oil here. See what we got. Looks pretty good. Looks like we're right on. Alright, so I think we're finished here. I checked everything up on top here. I don't think we have any leaks down here the way it looks. Nothing's dripping. Cleaned up right in here where that oil had dripped through from removing the filter. No drips on the ground. So we should be good. I did some quick research on the oil filter, and it looks like there's some older part numbers out there for Yanmar, and they changed the size of their filter. So it could be the filter that I took off is actually an older one, and maybe this is now the size. So I'm gonna check. We got a Yanmar dealer nearby, and I'll take the number in and see if I can get a filter from them. And then we can do a comparison and see if the John Deere filter is still smaller or if they kind of changed to that design now. So other than that, that's gonna be it for now.